Welcome to Lighten Up, the Art of Living Clutter-Free, a podcast where we tackle the literal and figurative clutter standing between you and your healthiest and happiest life. I'm Melanie, your host, coach, and guide on this journey to help you design a life that you love. Whether it's clearing out your kitchen cabinets, untangling your digital files, or letting go of the mental blocks that hold you back, we're here to make space for what truly matters. Let's lighten up together, starting now. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Lighten Up, the Art of Living Clutter-Free. I'm Melanie, your host and guide and clutter coach. And I am so happy to have someone really special here today, Julia Xanthos Liddy. Julia's passion is storytelling with both video and still photography. After more than a decade on staff at the New York Daily News, she has covered a vast array of assignments focusing on features, general assignment, portraiture, and fashion. Her video work earned a New York Emmy Award and has also been recognized by the National Press Photographers Association, Pictures of the Year International, Newswomen's Club of New York Press Photographers Association, Deadline Club, and New York Press Club. In her personal photo series, Young Love, on Instagram, she finds candid moments between couples in New York City, whether it's on the sidewalk, the subway platform, or a park bench. She embraces the romance of the city she adores. The intimate work has been featured in several publications, and you can read all about it on her website. Aside from her camera, the focus of her life is her family. Julia lives in Brooklyn with her two Tommies, her husband and her little boy, and sweet baby girl Zoe. Julia, thank you for being here today.
That bio is so funny to hear.
Why is it funny to hear your story?
It was written a while ago now. So sweet baby girl Zoe is now 7.
Your children will always be your baby girl and baby boy.
Will always be my baby. But I would never introduce myself now as that same person because so much has happened since. Like, I feel like that's almost like an old version of myself.
Okay. So what's the new version? Like, what gets added to the bio?
That I don't really obsess about work as much as I did. And I put family way before.
I think what I'm hearing you say is that's very heavy on these are the things I've done in my career and these are the awards I've received, which means I'm putting in dozens of hours every week. And now it's not all of that. It's family.
That was a big shift to take the focus off of my obsessive need to succeed at all things with the camera and get awards and prove myself. I had to really let go of that. And it's not until I had my son, Tommy, that I was holding him as a newborn and just saying, like, I promise you, I'm going to figure this out. I promise.
So here's the thing, though. You are still a very successful professional. Tell us a little bit about what you are known for in the community of Bay Ridge, Brooklyn.
That's so funny because now the focus of my work is on families. I take it so seriously that family chooses me to help tell their story. There's families that I did their newborn photos when they had their baby. And now, the kid, I'll see them at like the supermarket. Over the years, we grow together, it's like an annual thing.
So you do the Easter photos and the holiday photos and other special events, right?
I do, but I did that almost like to just keep busy while I was figuring things out, with very young kids. But over time, my focus is definitely on storytelling for families, and it takes a lot of time. And the quick holiday mini sessions, that's what they were. They were a quick holiday mini session. They were a few minutes with a family and out, or we meet at the park or something. It's quick. And that's really it's fun, but it's not what I feel like I'm capable of doing more.
So what I hear, and it's true for so many of us, is that we evolve over time. We evolve from, daughter or child to, whatever we identify ourselves as in our 20s, whether that's by career or, becoming a wife and becoming a mom. Like we're constantly evolving in job titles. I think my takeaway is that it's time for Julia to have a new bio. I'm calling you out right now.
We all need to update everything.
For sure. Why don't you tell us what the new project that you're working on?
I absolutely love any form of video, film, sounds, music, and being able to tell a family story in that manner. But most importantly, using old footage that they have within their family archive, even if it's on a cell phone or Super 8 film, VHS, to digitize it and then repurpose it and make sense of it.
I love this so much. I mean, one, you are an amazing storyteller, and we're going to get to why I know that so well. Um, but like we all have this stuff. If it's not in our house, closet, basement, drawers, it's in our parents or our grandparents, aunts and uncles, siblings. Like everybody's got some old videotapes, whether they're like the old VHS ones. We all have the Super 8s, the reel to reel, old video, and like the little ones that we were using when my kids were young over 20 years ago. But what I love is giving these items a second life. Like we can all send this stuff away to legacy.com or wherever else you digitize photos and videos, etc. And they tell a story in and of themselves. But you are now retelling the story to a whole new level. Tell us more.
When my grandparents, their house was sold after they passed, and all of their belongings were split amongst three very big families. Most importantly were the photos and these amazing reels of video, of film that my grandfather had, but nobody knew what was on them. So I I took them from my mom. They were in like his World War II army bag, like an actual World War II army bag. And my husband said, "You could just buy something do it at home, digitize it at home." I said, "Yeah, right." Next thing you know, like 2 days later, I'm sitting at the computer sobbing my eyes out, sobbing, watching my mother have a snowball fight with her siblings in like 1956, let's say, in the late 50s, unlocking this part of my mom that I never, ever dreamt of witnessing. I could think of my mom as a child, I could see a photo of her, but to watch her move and laugh and interact with her siblings, it was there's no other word for it than magical. And these were just sitting in a closet. What were they doing? Nothing, sitting in a closet. Nobody would have thought, what is on this.
In my world, sitting in a closet means clutter. Yeah. And I want to be clear that something that is cluttering our space isn't trash. It's just something that's not getting utilized in the way that would bring us all joy, and would enhance and amplify our lives in some way. If it's in a bag, in a closet where no one knows where it is, it's not serving its like true emotional purpose, right?
So I do want to say that my mom's parents, both sets of grandparents' homes were pristine. There was no clutter. Everything had a purpose. There was no cabinet where you would open and be like, "Oh, where am I going to find this thing?" Every spice had a spot. Both houses, you knew exactly where the preserved cherries were going to be. You know what I mean? To a T, like the bottle of ice water, in the fridge. You know where everything was going to be. For some reason, later generations, we have so much stuff.
This is very interesting because both of my grandparents, same thing. My father grew up in a one-bedroom apartment. He and his brother slept on a pull-out couch in the living room. Like it was tiny. There wasn't room for stuff. But I do think there are plenty of older people now who are in a space that small and have like 5 to 10 times as much stuff, if not even more than that, than my grandparents. And my other grandmother, they had space, they had a basement, etc. But like everything pristine and neat. And I do think that's generational in many ways. Your grandparents, my grandparents are, Depression era. your grandparents were immigrants. I have one grandparent who was an immigrant, and immigration plays a role in what we keep and how we hang on to it. Because so many of our family members who were immigrants came with the clothes on their back. They didn't grow up in a place where you were supposed to amass more and consume more and own more. Would you agree with that?
Definitely. I mean, I'm thinking of like my mom's mom specifically. I mean, the vacuum lines in the rug. I mean, they took such pristine care. Never a
Right.
cleaning lady. And either my dad's mom, my mom, never a cleaning lady. I mean, and it was just I just honor them so much for even just that, like such pride in their home.
Mm.
My dad is an immigrant. My dad came from Greece when he was 8 years old. My ship took 13 days. I mean, like, what kind of stories does he have? You know what I mean? So he would tell us these stories, like, from Greece. Like they sound like Greek myths. Like they don't even sound real. It's like, but he puts like a spin on it where you're like, come on, Dad, like give me a break.
Love this because my grandfather, who was an immigrant, tells the story of escaping Russia. Really, his family was from Belarus. But the way he tells the story and traveling across Europe and getting on a ship and all those things, every once in a while, I'm like, did he read or watch Dr. Zhivago a few too many times? Because it's sounding similar in many ways. But I'm okay with that because I feel like your memories are your memories, whether the story doesn't sound right to somebody else, because that happened when he was 8. This happened to my grandfather before he was 10. So we're talking about through the eyes of a child. And so to many adults, that might sound weird or made up. That's how a child remembers it. That's how we remember it decades later.
If I hear the story about him trying ice cream for the first time, like one more time, but the way he tells it is like his entire life changed by this ice cream experience in Castagna, Greece, in the mountains of Sparti. Like, you would never think this guy, Long Island, New York, is that same person, but he so is that 8-year-old kid that just tried the ice cream for the first time. And for his entire life, he's been trying to have that sensation of newness, of like formative change in his life, always on some sort of adventure. But at heart, he is a storyteller.
So is that where you got your storytelling from?
I would say likely. Definitely.
I'm going to shift gears a little bit. I want to ask a question about being a storyteller, because storytelling takes so many forms. So there are those who write, there are those who paint, there are those who create in the way that you do. Some people are storytellers of fiction, and you are one of those where everything that you do is biographical.
I like telling stories that happened. Like a
You're a
memory.
journalist. I think that I think people in the neighborhood, if they don't know your whole story, see you as one of the neighborhood photographers, right? Okay. So, how did you become a journalist? What was the path?
This is a big one. When I was in college, I joined the university photo service. This was the yearbook club on campus.
Have you always been a great photographer? Is that something you always did?
That's what my high school teacher told me. He told me I was very talented. No, and it was like I mean, I've had a camera since I was a very, very small child.
Mhm.
Well, are we going way back now? Okay, so for Christmas one year, I got a Fisher Price camera. That was very used. And my dad would take me to Photomat, Photomat.
Yeah. I remember waiting 2 weeks for pictures to come back, okay?
We would drop my film off, and it was the most amazing thing getting that film. I would compare it to having ice cream for the first time in the mountains of Greece. But every time, like
I love
literal
that.
magic, like unfolding in front of me, in a little envelope. And it was such a me and my dad thing. Like, he'd buy me the film and then, take me to Photomat, and I had a photo album. I loved it. And then in high school, I learned how to develop film and stuff. But it was in college that was so intense. It was not like just any old photo club. It was it was a way of life. We had Sunday night dinners, watched The Simpsons. We lived, breathed everything photography. Nothing. It was like I had a beeper when there was like parties on campus that people would page to go to take pictures for the yearbook. It was amazing.
I think predominantly my listener is middle-aged, but I know there are young people who just beeper or associate beepers with two people, doctors and drug dealers.
I was in the middle, somewhere in the middle. Well, by the end of, my university photo service experience, the ultimate goal was to be editor of the yearbook.
Mm.
That was the ultimate goal. I had all my line of everything. I needed to be editor of the yearbook for the Torch yearbook. So in the year 2000, I was editor of the yearbook. And my God, that experience changed my life. So there was a big protest on campus where they took over the president's office. They stormed the administration building and took over the office. And there were kids hanging out the window with a list of demands. Okay. They had furniture blocking the door. It was insane. Kids were arrested. I had the tip that all this was going to happen. So I was the only photographer there. And by the time all the kids started getting arrested, that's when the news cameras started getting there. But it was over. And
But you were first and
I
on scene.
I had I had pictures. They were black and white film that I was like, it was thrilling. Covering the whole thing was just thrilling. Okay.
I feel like it's interesting because my junior year, there was, a student sit-in at the president's office that lasted quite a long time. And this was a small college that like really wanted people to protest, not violently, like getting your message heard. I think is so valuable. So those people who are first on scene like you, in my world, are there to communicate with the people who are not there. What you're seeing and what you're hearing. Wow.
This was
To
at
get to do that.
SUNY Albany. This was like total, state school. There was that movie PCU, which was considered a
I
bad
know it
movie.
very well.
It was a bad thing to be PC, but you know what? It rose so much awareness to different people of all types that needed to be heard. And when I got back to the yearbook office, there was a message from the Village Voice, the editor of the Village Voice, that did anyone have pictures that happened, of what happened? And I said,
Okay, this is amazing because like the Village Voice is
it
like
was
the
everything.
greatest
It was
publication.
It was everything. I had been emailing, like my first email address, I had been emailing, like, how do I get an internship at the Village Voice? How do I get an internship at the Village Voice? Almost just sending these emails into the abyss of where are these going to end up. And then they said, send your film to us. So I quickly developed the film. She gave a FedEx number. Meg Handler was her name. She was the editor. She gave a FedEx number, and then they got the pictures, and she called up the yearbook club, and she said, what are you doing after you graduate? I said, I don't know. And she said, love to offer you an internship here. It's a 6-month internship. So I left Albany, I left Albany, and then I called the Village Voice, had all my stuff in a U-Haul, and I got on the phone, and then someone answered the phone, and she said, well, I'm the new editor and I don't know anything about this. This was my big kick in the gut of real life and what happens in real life. Things don't always work out the way they're supposed to. And I begged her, I said, please let me come meet with you and show you my pictures, and can we please have a conversation? So Stacy Schwartz, she was the new editor. She was 26 years old, like the editor of the photo department of the Village Voice, and she was so tough. She took it so seriously, and she made me fight for this internship. She made me fight for it, and she agreed. So I had this internship at the Village Voice. I mean, once you get a little taste of that adrenaline rush of covering the news, there's nothing else like it. Nothing. The rush. I was just developing film mostly in the darkroom for the Village Voice. Developing film, printing pictures for Sylvia Plahy, like my hero. A list of photographers who I just looked up to so much. I was like developing their film and printing their photos in the darkroom. And then
You were in it. You
I
were
was
in
more,
it.
they were telling me what Sylvia Plahy would leave voicemail, no, a voice message on the answering machine. There's no such thing as voicemail then, about what temperature to develop the film at and how many agitations to do. Like, she was so specific, but
So what year were you at The Voice?
all this was in 2001, a week before 9/11. We decided that, well, what happened was I was getting really sick in the darkroom, like really sick. They checked the vents and they were like, these are not working. So they put an actual like biohazard sign on the door and they were like, no one is to go in this room. And I was bringing film to like a lab, and they just decided, like, I said, I don't want to be a messenger of film. You know, what am I doing? What is this? So we decided in a very abrupt way that my internship was over. And I was very, very sad.
Of course.
And then a week later, 9/11 happened. And I was like in my pajamas on Long Island.
Okay, because this is a show about clutter, I want to talk about clutter. And I think everyone is aware, like we all have photos and Super 8s and all the things we've already said stuck at home. And a lot of us, other than digitizing it, don't think there's much more that we could do with it. You're changing that. You're starting a whole new like legacy storytelling product, but you started with your family. So I want you to talk about that.
Process of digitizing my family's VHS tapes and the Super 8s and like old film reels. This was something that just every family should do. But then what do you do with the footage after? What do? You sit and you watch hours and hours worth of tape. Okay, you can do that. That's fine. But in the attention span of the average person, nobody really finds the time or the emotional bandwidth to be able to endure hours and hours of watching family films. I did this. It took me a very, very long time to go through it and sob through it, but it was necessary. And then I had to figure out a way how to weave it all together where it made sense of something. I wanted to do this for my family. It's very important that I do this project, and I'm just so relieved that I did, and I can't wait to do more.
So you've created a video. It's about 5 minutes long. Is that about right? Have you presented it to your dad yet?
He's actually in Greece. He's been planting olive trees. At 75 years old, he plants olive trees. But this is my dad. There's no other way to explain him. Who knows when they will grow olives or if they will. But what I know is that I don't even think he's doing it for himself. I don't think he is. He's so in the future and so in the past. He says one of his faults is living in the present because he's in one of the other places.
This is not him. This is so common. And one of the things that I try to communicate is if we're spending too much time in the past, while there are really positive memories, it can also like weigh you down. Being present in the moment doesn't mean negating the other two, but rather giving honor to what is past and having plans and dreams for the future, but not waiting for the future to happen in a way, well, when that happens, I'm one of those that's a culprit of that. I totally get your dad struggling to be in the present.
And I was so frustrated with him. Like, what are you doing all this time, all these trips? Like, why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? What I'm realizing is he's planting them for us, for not even us, for our kids.
For the future.
Yeah.
For the future of Greece, the future of olives. I mean, what would we do without them? So tell us about this 5-minute video that you created for your dad for his birthday, right?
So it was like, just picture it as like a mound of tapes and photos and just a mound of it. I did not know where to begin. It was as though there was a room of clutter, only it was digital and it was in a hard drive. And when you don't see the clutter, but you know it's there, where do you begin? So I had to literally just begin, like one little step at a time. Okay. So then I said, all right, first I'm going to interview my dad. So we had to set a time where we're going to sit down and talk to each other. And then even after the whole interview, I was like, I have so much. I don't know where to begin. Am I telling the story of my dad's life? What is this? What am I trying to tell? Like little by little, I realized that like the little snippets that he said during our interview, the ones that affected me the most were the ones where he talked about him being a photographer and why he did it. What was his why? And that was like wow, because we're all just trying to figure out what is our why? Like why are we who we are? Why do we do what we do? I don't even think he thought the focus of our interview would turn out to be that way, but it just the importance of filming your family. Why? I'll show you why.
So this 5-minute video, everyone should know. I watched it. I know Julia. I've met her children. I don't know her family. I cried. I cried. She created this beautiful piece of art about her family through the lens of Julia and through the lens of her dad. That's my takeaway on it. It's beautiful. Everyone should want something beautiful like this for their family. What was your dad's reaction when you presented it to him?
So I sent it, in the family text, and so his response to me was a lot of emojis, and basically thanking me. But basically,
He loved it.
he did love it, but he wants to sit through hours and hours of footage. That's what he wants. He actually wants that experience. So that's all he really wanted, was to be able to watch the old footage. And then I like threw this at him where I'm like, no, this is like a story of you, Dad. And
Well, one
of
doesn't
my
negate the
mom.
other. They're both really great ideas. I love sitting and just watching for
Yeah.
hours, but it would also be really nice to have something that's like more concise and precise put together. What was the reaction from your other family members?
I spoke to my mom before I edited because I even asked her, I said, Mom, do you want to see like real life footage or the ones where everyone's kind of like, hi, like waving to the camera and being all cute and, on their best behavior? And she actually said that she wants to see the real life family. And we do have that footage. We have so much footage from like 2003 time period. And we each would pick up the camera. It was when I was freelancing, and I was actually like working for newspapers at that time. And I was really getting into like filming, but only for myself. And I didn't know like where it was going to take me. But we have so much footage of just the mundane uh, family life. My little sister Danielle, the one that's a psychologist now, I watch the footage and I just call her or message her. I'm like, you're a genius. She was like 16 years old. She's the youngest of 5, and she would just film my dad eating at the kitchen table or like get like really close up in my mom's face. And I have so much footage of my mom saying, "Get the camera out of my face," screaming at me, "Get the camera out of my face." But then to be able to ask her, like, Mommy, do you mind if I use that kind of footage where, it's real? And she said that she wouldn't mind it. So she was like giving me permission basically to go there. But that's the other thing. She gave me permission to use it, but then I said, I want to make more of a sentimental piece for this project. All that could be for a later time. So this one was more like a memory, just like how you would think of a memory, like just a calm, beautiful step into the past, and then bring it to present day and weave it together.
Beautiful. And I'll say it again. It was a beautiful tribute to your dad, your family, your history. What would it look like if you because this is new, you haven't really done this, for a client quite in this way. What would the process look like working with someone who came to you and said, I need you to produce one of these for my family?
It would require some digging in with the family and asking them, "Well, do you know the story that you want to tell? Is it about being a parent? Is it about you being someone's child? What's the footage? What do you have to use? Is it cell phone footage? Is it something you captured, or is it something that your family members before you did? Because that to me is key. Being able to make sense of your past and your present, and making sense of it, somehow telling the story so the future could be watching it. We're telling these stories for the future. These are my olive trees.
Oh, I love it. These are my olive trees. There's a sound bite for you. I love that. So I have an interesting experience when it comes to all this, and that is this is Julia's story, but it's my podcast, so I get to tell stories too. When I was growing up, my dad, was the one that had like the video camera in everybody's faces. Barry, stop! I have video from my aunt's first wedding. So it would have been like around 1980, 81, 82. And my dad videotaped everything. And he got his mother in law, my grandmother, to curse on camera. And so while it was at a big event, like we literally would rewind and listen to it again and rewind and listen to it again and rewind and listening to it again. And I think she said something like, it's about fucking time, something along those lines. And that's a beautiful video. The problem is for me is that in the story of my life, my father, being an addict, the addiction getting really bad, selling family things for drug money, losing our home, a lot got lost physically. And the photo album of my childhood is gone. We have no idea what happened to it. And we have pictures here and there. They're pictures that weren't in the album. They may be duplicates, though. I got photos from both of my grandmothers, but there are chunks that are missing. The photos I have are the photos that I took at sleepaway camp, the photos that I took at school, the photos I took at gymnastics. They're like my photos. There's very few of anything else. And so I think maybe that is in part why I am perfectly willing to sit down and watch hours of video, because this is what I do have. Unless, of course, you're looking for the videotape from the 1983 gymnastics state championships, because part of it's on video, and then someone who shall remain nameless taped over it when taping a Rangers hockey game that he couldn't be home to watch. So you see gymnastics, and then all of a sudden Ron Duguay on the ice, or whoever was on the Rangers then. That was like my favorite player when I was a kid. So there's a part of me that there's a part of my heart that is missing. And so that I'll never be able to resurrect. And it may be why we've taken way too many pictures of our kids, but it makes what we have even more special. And I have a feeling if it was if someone had created a story out of it, it would make those things that I do have even more meaningful. So when we talk about like the photo and the video clutter, while I have had a lot of it in my time, and it's interesting, I'm recording this episode in the office instead of the dining room where like all of my photos are behind me. But for those of you listening to the podcast and have been listening for a while, I am working in here because they are still doing construction next door, which makes that room sound terrible. And I don't have sound equipment yet. But at the end of the day, it makes every little piece of what I do have that much more important to me. I'm gonna circle back to the doing this for somebody else. The video you made for your dad was 5 minutes. Is that how long a video that someone's hiring you to make will be? Tell me more.
Tour Mel Rosenthal. And if I asked him that question, he would answer by saying, how long does the bridge need to be? We would not know. How long does it need to just tell the story to make you feel something? It really would depend by the project. But I think 5 minutes is a nice chunk of time where if I have 5 minutes to watch this, I'm going to sit down and feel my memories, get a little tearjerker. It's like a glimpse. It doesn't have to be a whole long documentary.
I realized as I asked that question, my husband's father passed away last year, and I think he was 86 or 87. For his 77th birthday, Bill created a film for him. He had 77 people send birthday wishes by video and compiled it all together. And so, of course, my kids, me, some of our friends who knew him, but he went to the office and he'd get the lunchroom to say happy birthday. He got train conductors, hot dog men, the guy at the coffee shop, at the newspaper stand, like all of those kinds of people. So there were a lot of people who were like, happy birthday, Leon. Hope it's amazing. And then other people who personalized it a little bit more. And it was amazing. So I think there are a lot of us out there that are like doing that, but not at the high quality that you're producing for people. If someone was coming to you and said, Julia, I need you to tell the story, are you ready to do that? Like, have you gone to market on this?
It would be a great honor to be able to do this for other families, because I know that it's been a healing process for me. It really has. It made me really go into my past and deal with like things that maybe I forgot about. But watching the
Mm.
footage and sitting there with it and really, really feeling within myself, like, how do I honor my family? I really wanted to do this to like honor my parents, because family, their faith, their traditions, it's everything to them. And that was the goal of this. How do I honor my parents? I know my dad speaks a lot in the video, but my mom was crucial at carrying on family traditions.
Oh, she's in there. She's in there.
Yes,
Yeah.
she's a
Okay, I'm going to challenge you on this then. So, this is what you created for your dad. If your kids were creating a movie to honor you, fast forward 20, 30, 40 years, what would you want what they created for you to be? Like, what would you want it to include, or what would you want it to look like, or what would the theme be?
I would say the way I closed my film with my parents dancing, with them with a 50-year marriage, 11 grandkids, that sense of all the work and the life lived. I feel like that's what I want that sense for my kids, that their parents did everything they possibly could for them with the tools that they had at their disposal. And I want my kids to feel like mommy and daddy tried their best.
I love that. I love that. Okay. So, all of Julia's information is going to be in the show notes. So you'll know how to reach out to her, because I think everybody needs a documentary of their family created by Julia. But again, since we are here for the Clutter podcast, I ask every guest before we finish, what's your clutter? So, Julia, is it we all have some form of clutter? What's yours?
I have a lot of stuff to clean out at the photo studio.
What's there that needs to get cleaned out?
Things that I thought at a time I would need or use and I haven't touched for 5 years, and it's time to go. I'm constantly putting stuff on the sidewalk. Just take it away. Get it out of here. Now that I'm really truly shifting gears towards video, I don't need all of this. There's so much in here. There's so much behind me. This is my so much behind me that serves me no purpose, that maybe someone else can use, but I need to get rid of it. I don't want someone else to have to deal with my stuff ever. And that's how I want to live my life. I don't want someone else, I don't want my husband, my kids to deal with my stuff. No. So that is my challenge right now. Get rid of it.
You moved in the last couple of years. How was that in terms of clutter?
We had like a week to move. They sold the house that we were living in, and we found a new place, and we just wanted to move before the school year started. So it was a very, very quick process of clearing out and to empty out every closet. And the place we moved into, one thing that we don't have there is the closets. It's very, very, very limited storage space, and I don't have a storage unit. So a lot of stuff just went on the sidewalk. Just take it. We don't need it.
How do you feel about that stuff now?
I hope it's being used and loved, but I certainly didn't need it. And I think being part of the Buy Nothing group I have gotten so many amazing, beautiful things from that group, and I have given away so much, just take it enjoy it. It does not serve me. I don't want it.
I think there's nothing more beautiful than something having a second life. It's why I've been thrift shopping since I was a teenager. I love knowing that something is having a second life, and it may be similar to the life it had before. It may be completely different, and that someone is appreciating it, because it doesn't matter how old it is. If it's new to them, it is new. And so I love that. We moved 9 years ago, and we moved from a place that had, I don't talk about this a lot, 7 closets, and one of them was a walk-in. And we now live in a home with 3.5 closets. And I say a half because the closet in this room is triangle shaped. So it's literally just a storage closet. You couldn't hang clothing in it if you want to. It's like weirdly and oddly shaped. So I know what it's like to have downsized so much. What's amazing to me is that happened 9 years ago, and 2.5 years ago, when I started my real decluttering project, I was like, oh my God, what this would have been like had we brought everything. And most of that stuff I don't remember about. Or if I do, I remember because I saw it in a picture or a video. And what I have to remind myself is, it was so well used then. It was so perfect for our life then. But just like we started today talking about evolution in ourselves, that includes our space having evolution. Okay, so one other question. What's your mental clutter?
That's a big one, Melanie.
Maybe I knew that when I asked.
Well, I think for anyone that is trying to shift gears in life, there's a lot going on. So I'm just trying to figure it all out. I guess like the rest of us. But to figure out how do I switch my business from being one thing that I thought it was going to be to something that I need it to be. Like I feel it in my bones that I need to be doing this. But I think being part of community is really important, and it's helped me to kind of not feel so alone through the process. So we have our little group in Bay Ridge, which has been incredibly helpful, the small business group, but also very regularly I'm in a community online. It's called Filming Life Academy, and it has been incredibly helpful. Kind of map out a path.
What I'm hearing is community, how important community is, and how I don't care what you think, I can do it myself. No, don't do it by yourself. Go to community. So Julie and I know each other from Women in Bay Ridge Small Business Group, which is also a small group right now. So anybody that's listening, if you are in Bay Ridge, or even if you're in Sunset Park or Diker Heights, you're in the Bay Ridge area and you're a small business owner or about to become a small business owner, if you are a woman, reach out to us. We would love to have you a part of that group. It can be so isolating when you're a small business owner, especially if you're a solopreneur like we are. And so it can really help to have other people that are experts in other areas. I mean, Julia did my original professional photos. And so we have to lean on the people who are around us. So I hope that there are people out there that are listening that will join us on that path. And if you're not in New York and you're a small business owner, find the small business group near you, or groups, or online groups, or all of the above. Get all the support that you deserve. So, Julia, any last thoughts for the listeners today?
I think if at any point in my life I feel like I'm not evolving, there's going to be a problem. That's when the problems start happening, and that's when the mental clutter starts really piling up. When I'm not doing the work, figuring out why have I been stuck for so long? What has been holding me back? Why can't I just do this one thing that I want to do so badly? What is it that's holding me back? And just figuring it all out every step of the way.
That's a perfect way to end. Julia, thank you so much for being here today. I look forward to all of the family documentaries and legacy projects you're going to create out there. You're amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you for tuning into this episode of Lighten Up, the Art of Living Clutter-Free. I hope you found a spark of inspiration to help declutter not just your space, but your mind and life as well. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who could use a little lightness in their life. Remember, it's not about being perfect, it's about progress. Small steps lead to big changes, and I'm here to help you every step of the way. For more tips, resources, and ways to connect, check out my website, follow me on social media, and don't forget to check out the Design Your Healthy Life Strategy program to take your transformation even further. Until next time, keep letting go of what no longer serves you and making room for what truly lights you up.